All right, let's talk about something that seems so simple but is actually packed with a ton of power. The title of an academic article. It's often the very last thing a researcher writes, but it's the absolute first thing the world reads. So yeah, let's get into why that matters. A lot.
I mean, really think about that for a second. You've poured all those months, maybe even years of hard work into a single paper. But if that title doesn't do its job, all that incredible research could just disappear. It could get totally lost in the endless sea of digital information. The stakes are really, really high.
So, what is the title's big job anyway? Well, it's way more than just a label you slap on at the end. It's an active, working part of your research. It's a tool.
I love this quote because it just nails it. Your title is basically the first handshake your research makes with everyone. It's the first impression you give to editors, to reviewers, and to all the future readers who might build on your work. It sets the whole tone.
And that handshake really matters, because the title acts as a kind of gatekeeper. An editor will glance at it to decide if your paper even belongs in their journal. A reviewer uses it to get a first sense of your academic seriousness. And, this is a big one, search engines use its keywords to decide who even gets to see your work in the first place.
So if the title is a gatekeeper, how do you make sure it opens the right doors for you? Well, a great title doesn't just describe what's inside. It actively signals strength, it signals focus, and it signals professionalism before anyone has even read a single word of your abstract.
You can almost think of a strong title as a miniature abstract. In just a few words, it tells you the central focus, it names the key variables being studied, it places the work in its field, and sometimes it even hints at the method used. It's like a clear, honest preview of what's to come. No surprises.
Okay, so this brings us to the practical rules of the game. And in academic writing, there is one golden rule that beats all the others. Clarity is always more important than creativity. This is just not the place for a clever, mysterious headline you might see on a blog post.
And that clarity really starts with the length. The sweet spot is right around 10 to 15 words. If you go any shorter, you're probably being too vague, but any longer, and it just gets clunky and hard to read, especially for search engines. It's the perfect length to get the key info across without being a total mouthful.
Following these principles is really all about building trust with your reader. Using neutral academic language shows you're being objective. Avoiding hype words like novel or groundbreaking shows you're a professional, not a salesperson. And making sure the title lines up perfectly with the rest of the paper, that proves your work is solid and coherent.
All right, enough theory. This is where it gets fun. Let's do a little showdown. We're going to look at some real examples from sports science to see what makes a title really work and what makes one, well, fall flat on its face.
Okay, have a look at this one. Rethinking Physical Education for Better Student Performance. At first glance, it sounds kind of interesting, right? But as an academic title, it is full of red flags. See if you can spot them.
So why is this one so weak? Well, for starters, it's super vague and sounds more like marketing. What does rethinking even mean in a research context? And better performance? Better at what? We have no idea what was actually measured or who is even in the study. An editor looking at this has no clue what the paper is really about.
Now, check out this strong alternative. It's like night and day, isn't it? This title is fantastic. It tells us the exact variables, cardiorespiratory fitness and academic engagement. It tells us the exact population, secondary school students. It's precise, it's neutral, and it's incredibly useful.
And here's another great one. Again, it clearly names the key concepts and the population, but look at that little gem at the end, a cross-sectional school-based study. Oh, that is a pro move. Including the study design gives us another layer of clarity right up front. Beautiful.
When you put them side by side like this, it's just, there's no contest. The weak title is this vague, fuzzy promise. The strong title is a precise, professional, scientific statement. It's pretty obvious which one is going to get taken seriously by the academic community. So, how can you make sure that your own title is one of the strong ones? Easy. Before you even think about hitting that submit button, you've got to run it through a quick, final litmus test. Think of it as a last-minute sanity check. This three-step check is your secret weapon. And remember, the title should be one of the very last things you finalize. So first, you reflect. Does it perfectly match what you actually found in your research, not just what you were hoping to find? Second, you align it. Check it against your abstract, your methods, your results. Does it all line up? And finally, you finalize. Do one last read-through to make sure it's clear, accurate, and totally professional. And look, this is why all this matters so much. A great title isn't just about getting your paper noticed.
It's about upholding the integrity of the science itself. It makes sure your work gets assessed fairly, reviewed properly, and that it can add real, long-term value to your field.
So, the next time you're finishing up a paper, just pause and give that title the serious attention it deserves. Because your research, it might just have the power to change the entire conversation, but only if your title is strong enough to actually invite people in to listen.